Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Bat Tech Flyer Mr. Freeze versus Batman set from the Batman the Caped Crusader line from Spin Master. This is a new set. It comes with two figures, as you can see, of course, Batman and Mr. Freeze as previously mentioned. And then we have this cool Bat Tech Flyer, kind of like a Batwing, but he kind of lies down to ride it, as you can see here in the picture. I got this on Amazon. I have seen some people say that this is starting to show up in Targets as well. I don't know if anyone's found it at a Walmart yet, but you could definitely check. It is probably something that they would eventually carry. But it's a pretty nice little set. It was around $20, and I feel like for a vehicle and two figures, that's pretty cool. I don't know how many accessories they're going to have. We'll take a look once we actually get the box open, but pretty neat packaging here. It has that kind of Bat Tech motif, which is what they kind of decided to do for this third wave. I think it's wave 3 anyway, where Batman has all these kind of like, you know, crazy blue highlights and everything. Nice big picture of Batman over here on the side. We take a look at the top and the bottom. There's not really too much going on. A little bit of assembly instructions there, just kind of telling you how to pop Batman into the flyer. And then over here we have again the same picture of Batman. And then a really cool picture over here. It's Batman and Robin in the Batcave. You even have like a little T-Rex over here. You have the Batmobile in the background, the giant playing card from Joker. So pretty nice artwork here on the back. I like that a lot. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the packaging, and then we're going to take a closer look. Alright, so here's everything we get in the box. We'll take a look at the figures first. We'll start over here with Batman. Now this is kind of the second mold for Batman where they gave him the wider head, a little bit more square jaw. Personally, I prefer the first mold. I mean, this is okay, but just kind of aesthetically a little bit different there, and I just personally prefer the first one. But I really do like the color scheme for the suit. I think the blue and the silver look really good together. The blue outline for the bat symbol I think really works. I love the silver gauntlets, very nicely painted. And you have the silver utility belt, which goes all the way around. No paint on the legs down here, so. But I still think he looks pretty cool. I do like the aesthetic for this suit. Head can spin side to side. Doesn't really have any up and down, so it's not really a ball joint. It's just a spin from side to side there. You have a hinge and a rotation in the shoulder. You also have a hinge and a rotation in the elbow. It doesn't really go so much to this side, but it can come in. I don't know why it's limited like that. I'm assuming it has something to do with the gauntlet getting in the way. Forearm and hand are one solid piece, so no articulation in the wrist. Nothing in the waist. In the hip, you can kick forward. You can kick out to the side. You can kick back a little bit, but because of the way his butt's molded, it kind of has like a flap that gets in the way. You have a thigh swivel there. You have a 90-degree bend in the knee, as well as a rotation there. So pretty good articulation for a figure this size. And like I said, I do really like the aesthetic of the suit. I think the paint applications look really sharp. I just preferred that other mold. I thought the head on the other mold looked a little bit more natural. This one, I don't know, the wider head just doesn't do it for me as much. Not bad. I just prefer the other. But I do like the suit. I think he looks pretty cool. So we will stand him off to the side. And we will take a look at Mr. Freeze, which, let's be honest, this is the real reason you're probably picking this set up. He looks good. Very, very cool. I think the head looks great. He's got his classic red goggles. He's got the head under the dome. They did a nice job. Now, because of that, he doesn't have any head articulation, but I'm okay with that. He's got some nice kind of metallic mint green here on the chest, just for some more detail. He has got a hinge and a rotation in the shoulder, and then the hinge and the rotation in the elbow. Pretty much all the same articulation as Batman, with the exception of no head articulation. But you can kick forward, you can kick out to the side. Now he does have some molding here on the thighs, which kind of gets in the way, so he can't kick out as far, but not a big deal. Mr. Freeze isn't really the super spry type, so I don't really expect him to be doing all kinds of kung fu moves. He's got a thigh swivel. He has got a bend and rotation there at the knee. Nice paint applications here for his kneecaps, knee pads, whatever you want to call them. And then we just have a solid leg and foot, no articulation at the ankle. So again, pretty much the same as Batman, but he looks good. Now, neither of the figures come with accessories, which is a bit of a bummer, and I'm assuming it's just because, you know, you have the vehicle here, and to keep the cost at a certain price point, they, you know, couldn't put any accessories in. But I feel like if you're going to sneak in just one accessory, Mr. Freeze needs some kind of freeze gun. I mean, it's Mr. Freeze. It's iconic. He needs his freeze gun. I feel like that's the only thing really missing from this set. If I could add one small thing, it would be a freeze gun for him. But there is going to be a solo release of Mr. Freeze, so if you don't really care about everything else in this set and you're just looking for this guy, Target had an exclusive that was a Mr. Freeze. I think he has a few less paint applications, but he does come with accessories, and it's around the $8 price point as per usual. So I guess to add the accessories, they had to cut a few paint applications. But if you're just looking for a solo Mr. Freeze, that is possible, but I have never seen one in store. I've had friends that have found them, but I have never seen one, so, you know, happy hunting if that's what you're looking for. So it's up to you. If you prefer a Mr. Freeze with accessories and a little bit less paint applications, you can go that route. But at this point, I mean, really for both of these figures, there's probably some previous release that would have an accessory that you could make work. I mean, they do give you a ton of accessories with all those solo figures, so I feel like you could probably find something to work for them. That's probably what I'm going to do. But let's go ahead. We'll take a look at this flyer here. So it's pretty cool. I mean, there's not really much to it. It's a big hunk of black plastic with a few paint applications. I do really like the blue. I think that looks really sharp. Definitely gives me Tron vibes, which I appreciate. You have a nice silver paint here on the guns on the front, and a little bit of silver here, and then blue for the bat eyes. Now you have these gray pieces here. These are not painted. These are actually separate pieces that you just kind of pop in there, and it's just kind of like a friction fire thing. You can just kind of push them down to, I guess, like deploy these depth charges. So they just pop right back in, and then you can just pop them back out. Now the way this thing sits, you can see that it kind of always sits forward. I was thinking that these would be little stabilizers. That's why they had these little nubs on the bottom, but they don't even come close to where this, you know, extends down toward. So I'm not really sure exactly what those are for, but they're still cool. I mean, they're just kind of like little bombs he can drop. So I think that's kind of fun. Now, the way this cockpit piece works, it's kind of a softer, more malleable piece of plastic. If you try to pull it straight up, it will not pop out. You kind of have to pull it forward a little bit because it's got this big tab here on the back, and that just kind of pops into a little spot right there on this thruster. So you can't pull it straight up. You have to kind of pop it back a little bit, and then there's a hinge here in the front. So we'll go ahead, we'll grab Batman, and you can see it's got these two handholds on the side done in this like light translucent blue plastic. So we will attempt to get him to grab onto these. A little bit easier said than done. And we got one, close enough. Now you can see that there's kind of a little mold out here, so you want to kind of tuck the feet into this little spot right here. Now unfortunately you can see the cape extends past where we would peg it in, so you kind of either have to kind of bunch it up or maybe pick a side to kind of drape it toward, something like that. But if you want to close this up, the cape unfortunately does kind of get in the way, so you just have to figure something out there, and then you can peg it in. But it's a cool little flyer. I mean, it definitely, you know, gives me Batwing vibes, and I think that's pretty cool. Let's see if we go ahead. You can see it's still kind of, it's kind of funny. I think it's a weight distribution thing, because without Batman, it almost always falls forward like this. But with Batman in it, it will kind of stay backwards, so I guess because he adds more weight. So that way you can kind of display it still kind of hovering a little bit off the ground. Honestly, you can kind of spin it around. It's kind of fun. Hold on, ready? So there you go. They're not called Spin Master for nothing, right? But yeah, it's a fun little vehicle. I mean, do you need it? That's going to be up to you. There's not much to it. It's basically just a hunk of plastic with the piece here on a hinge to load them in, and then these little depth charge pieces that drop down. So, you know, it's okay for what it is. I think it's fun. I like the look of it aesthetically. I think it's very cool. I like the paint scheme and everything. So, is it the best vehicle? No, but I think it's okay. I mean, for getting two figures in a vehicle for $20, I think that's a pretty good value. So I think this is a fun little set. Like I said, I got mine on Amazon for $19.99, which I think is a perfectly fair price. I mean, these figures go for around $8 a piece, and then you throw a vehicle in there. You know, that's about a $5 value, $10 value, something like that. So, I mean, to get everything together for 20 bucks, I think is pretty cool. Now, because of that, we don't have any accessories for the figures, which is kind of a bummer. Like I said, I don't really need any more for Batman at this point. I have so many versions of Batman, so many batarangs, so many grappling hooks. I don't really need any more of those. But if they could have just snuck in a freeze gun for Mr. Freeze, I would say this is a pretty perfect set. Both the figures look very good. The paint application's very nice on both of these figures. Articulation's good. You know, they're good looking figures. So I definitely recommend this set. And like I said, maybe if you have some previous releases, you can get some kind of gun that will work as an ice blaster for Mr. Freeze. Like I said, there is going to be a solo release of Mr. Freeze, but he does have a little bit less as far as paint applications go. I know at least the paint applications on the chest are missing. There may be others. Now that one is going to come with some accessories, so he'll probably have a freeze blaster of some type, but that's a Target exclusive, and I don't know how Target's doing with these. I've seen a bunch of Targets have them clearanced out. It could just be because the older figures aren't moving. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping they'll just, some of these figures that have been warming the pegs for a while will start to move out and we can get some new figures in. Target's also going through like a remodel and a reset and everything like that. So hopefully they're just holding back until that's all done, and then they can start pushing out new product. Like I said, I would fully expect this set to also appear at Target, maybe even Walmart, so you could check there if you're looking for this. Or as far as I know, the Amazon listing is still up, and I think you can probably pick it up there as well. So I think it's a fun set. I think it's missing an accessory or two, but other than that, it's pretty cool. I love the figures. I think the vehicle's pretty neat. I wish there was a little bit more to the vehicles, but most of these vehicles have just kind of been either a car with moving wheels or, you know, some kind of like sled or flying vehicle or something like that. So there's not usually too much. I mean, maybe a firing missile mechanism or something like that's about all you could really ask for, but they do have the depth charges that deploy, so I guess that takes the place of those. So I think it's a fun set. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.